This episode brought to you by Chuck's Sewer Plumbing and Drain. Also by Nicholson Realty 2.0. Welcome to Garage Talk. As always, I'm Conrad. Let's go. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We're Garage Talk 46933 and the same handle on TikTok. And you can go to our Facebook page, Garage Talk LLC. We want to welcome our special guest, Detective Sergeant, a 16-year veteran, correct?
21-year veteran, 16 years in the Detectives Division.
Yeah, in the Detectives Division. Congratulations, Erin Keppler.
Yep.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How you doing? You got a really interesting job.
I do. It's a job that I never saw myself, or an area I never saw myself getting into, but where I'm at right now is really interesting for me.
I couldn't do it. Nursing, teaching middle school, and crime scene. I don't think I could do it. How did you get into this whole? What were your motivations to get into law enforcement? First off.
I want to do anything from being a Coast Guard and then I realized I get seasick, and so it doesn't quite work out.
Yeah.
But eventually, probably in high school, I realized that I had a desire to serve.
Okay.
It was kind of God's calling on my life, and from then on, I just continued to pursue that calling into law enforcement.
Yeah, sometimes when you get that calling, it's impossible to ignore.
Yeah, it is.
And you even stepping up, like I said, I couldn't do that. There's a select few people that have that desire to run into a burning building. Firemen, police officers, teachers, those people are who we love to spotlight, and we think a lot of you.
Well, thank you.
And so what led you to get into the Detectives Division from there?
Well, I really didn't have a choice. I started on the Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
Out of college, and I'd say about 5 years in, one of the other detectives was moved back onto the road. And my captain, then Mike Ross, called me and said, "Hey, you're starting up in detectives." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I know nothing about it, but okay." So I ended up going up into detectives, starting in property crimes, mainly working with burglaries, thefts, that kind of stuff. And eventually transitioned into the more major crimes.
So when you started off like in the burglary crimes, were you like Sherlock Holmes with the little duster checking for real?
Yeah.
Is that a real thing? The dust?
Yeah. We fingerprint, we swab for DNA. We kind of go into a scene, look at it, and see what we need to help us put the puzzle pieces together, try and figure it out.
And from there you went on to crime scenes?
Yeah, so I started, I got moved into the more major crimes, so rapes, child molests,
oh my gosh,
homicides, got sent to a bunch of trainings, and eventually myself and another detective, Brad Moore, got sent to crime scene investigator school, where we actually learned how to process an entire scene from start to finish. And now we have 3 or 4. I think three road guys that have also gone through crime scene school.
That's incredible. I mean, I mad respect, because anybody who can do that, because you get a little bit desensitized, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I tell my friends law enforcement has not been kind to my, my personality, my emotions. You just see a lot of stuff and you do become desensitized to it. So what you see in one day could be something nobody ever sees in their entire life. So,
and it makes you take a step back and realize it has a huge effect on your mental health. We talk about this a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Mental health nowadays is a big topic amongst people in sports, firemen. That stuff is real. I mean, I've heard of EMTs having PTSD from.
Oh yeah, EMTs, dispatchers. I mean, nobody in a service position goes untouched by stuff. I mean, even teachers, the stuff they have to deal with, the stories the kids bring to them. Because a lot of our reports start from the schools. So
That's gotta be rough. I mean, Grant County is up high on the poverty scale in the state, and I'm sure a lot of those kids don't see things that are nurturing a lot for them. And I again commend you on having to hear some of that stuff. Do you ever say, you know what, I need to take a break and reset?
yeah, I mean, there has been many times I've considered retiring just to get away from it. I don't feel like God has quite released me from my call yet.
Okay.
I'm still processing through that, but there are times you have to kind of, like you said, take your mental health into consideration, go to counseling, that kind of stuff, but you got to be honest in your counseling in order for it to work, or else you remain in the same cycle.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And being honest with yourself is really hard sometimes. So looking in that mirror.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you, and I don't know how much you'll be able to answer this, but my sister-in-law, she was on a jury for a murder in Marion, and it was probably one of the most gruesome things I've ever hit my ears.
Okay.
It was the man who had the sword.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't imagine walking in and seeing the devastation that was inside. Were you part of that?
I was not. That was Marion Police Department.
That was Marion?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I hope that you've not seen anything like that. You might have seen worse.
Yeah.
So how did you transition from crime scene into this? Because I consider myself a techie. High-tech crimes?
So for years, the sheriff's department has had the capability to run forensics on cell phones. So we've had people prior to me doing it. And so that was one thing that kind of caught my interest. I started getting kind of big into cell phones, like how they work, the information they retain, what you can do with it. And from there, I got certified in being able to run the cell extraction software that we use. And then just through that kind of stuff, I made connections with other people who were doing it and learned about the Delaware County High-Tech Crime Unit, got to know a lot of them, and was able to present it to the sheriff last year, I believe, about trying to get tasked down there with being on the Delaware County High-Tech Crime Unit.
So the mission and structure of the high-tech crimes unit, what's that look like?
So it started, I believe, in 2022.
Okay.
The Indiana Prosecutor Association committee, the IPAC, got together and was like, what do we need that will help us present our cases? Because we know digital devices are getting huge. And so they came up with what's called the high-tech crime units. So usually it's a collaboration between a prosecutor's office and then other agencies within that area to provide services to do examinations on digital devices. But prior to that, the Indiana State Police Cyber Lab was basically the main go-to for that. You had a few other agencies that were starting to delve into it, but just the sheer volume that ISP was getting was kind of overwhelming, and it would cause a slower turnover. Nothing to do with ISP, that they weren't doing their job. Just the sheer volume was overwhelming. And so this provided a resource to allow kind of a a faster turnover in the processing of devices. And so I believe they picked like 10 satellite campuses for high-tech crime units, and Delaware County happened to be one of them.
This is just so fascinating to me because everybody's got a laptop, everybody's got an iPad, everybody's got a cell phone, and you're able to track not just where they are, right? You can go and see.
I mean, we're able to do a lot of stuff with devices because, like you mentioned, computers, iPads, cell phones, they're all basically computers. And they track all sorts of information. And so what we do is we're provided the software, the tools to go in and kind of grab that information or get as much information from a device as possible that can help provide the information we need or the evidence we need in our cases, or even provide evidence that exonerates somebody, that shows that the person that's being accused didn't actually do it.
Yeah.
So it's not like this information just causes a conviction. It can also cause us to be like, oh, we're looking the wrong way. We need to go look somewhere else.
It can clear someone.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Unit collaborations. I mean, have you worked with other departments and agencies before?
Yeah. So, prior to the Delaware County High-Tech Crime Unit, we would take our stuff over to Kokomo. They do a lot of digital devices. And then we started going down to Delaware County. Down in the Delaware County High-Tech Crime Unit, the people I work with, you have our directors from the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office. There's a Muncie police officer. There's a detective sergeant. There is a investigator from Wayne County, myself, and then Delaware County Sheriff's Department has provided a civilian analyst. So you have basically five analysts, but three of us are also investigators. So we can put our investigator hat on and say, okay, what information do we need? Like if it's a drug overdose, a drug resulting in death, what information do we need that can help us, provide information that we need for whether it's a charge or, a conviction, something like that. So
as time's gone on, because like I shared with you about the documentaries that I've watched, you always see like different agencies butting heads and finding hard to come together. Is it changing? I mean, everything evolves through time, but has technology helped you guys collaborate easier?
Yeah, I mean, I think just in general, the processes and the advancements in technology and how investigations need to be done, it has caused people to come together. There's groups that we reach out to each other saying, hey, I'm having this issue with, whatever I'm working on, or I need this search warrant. I need, a template for this search warrant. It's this whole group that we all just reach out, and it spans states, and it's through training and stuff like that we make these connections. And so we all have the same purpose, and it's to protect and serve. It's to collect the information when crimes are reported and see where it goes from there. And we have to reach out to each other. If we aren't relying on each other, then your success rate is gonna be lower.
Yeah, and you want to catch what do they call it on CSI? The unsub. So cool. Anyways, can you share with us like any cases that really stick out in your mind that you were proud of, that you got you solved?
I mean, there's been a lot of cases in my career that,
I mean, 21 years is a
yeah.
long time.
yeah. So there's a lot of cases that I've worked, and it's not just me. I mean, I have a great team up in the detectives division that we all work together and we work well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was one case, just talking about technology itself, where we were able to, through technology, through devices, stuff like that, we were able to show that he was in the area of a crime. And then we also were able to locate a video of that correlated with a burglary they had done at that same location a few months prior. So, I mean, that was all stuff that we were able to use in the trial and gain a conviction against him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's those kind of things where it just kind of comes together. You work together, you get the information you need, and, everybody watches TV and they see all these things that we can do. And yeah, some of it's true, some of it's not. But, there's a lot of cases that we work that we really have to think outside the box.
Yeah.
So,
listen, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, don't feel bashful about bragging. If you want to brag on your team, any particular team members, yourself, go ahead, because again, this takes a lot of intelligence, patience, organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, really, it is hard to do a case alone. I mean, I won't say hard to do a case alone. There are some cases that you could work by yourself, but when it comes down to the more major crimes, we have to work as a team, whether it's with other agencies like Gas City, MPD, Upland. Even our road guys, I'll give a shout out to them on a lot of our major cases. They're already
Road guys.
Our road deputies,
our
patrol deputies.
Okay.
They're already collecting information for us, and getting us an edge on where we need to go in our investigation before we ever get to the scene.
Oh.
So they do a great job. They're learning when to collect cell phones. If they're talking to a suspect, grab whatever electronic device they have. So different things like that. They're learning also how to think like we do. I mean, people are like, oh, detectives, you're so smart. It's like, I've just had more training than our road officers, but they're just as capable of doing the same thing I am.
Yeah, so gaining insights on how you shape and approach those cases and investigations.
Yep.
Are there any deeper insights that you want to share?
I mean,
not giving away all.
I was gonna say I'm being careful about what I say because I don't want to give away all the secrets.
You don't want to let them in the back door.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the advancement in technologies, it's kind of a cat and mouse game. The devices, the companies that sell these devices, the people committing the crimes, they're always trying to think one step ahead of us. The tools that we utilize, they're always trying to find the way to get that information. So it's this cat and mouse game between, especially in the cell phone world, between the companies who do the cell phones and the companies that are trying to help law enforcement get the information they need.
I'll tell you what, no one's a detective like a female. I mean,
we're nosy.
If my better half, if I leave a step out, like I picked up McDonald's, I went and got a Polar Pop. No, you stop and got a candy bar. I can see chocolate in the corner of your mouth. Where's ours? They know. They figure things out, and you can't. Omitting things does not help my situation.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing with evidence, even technology. We may find evidence, or there may be evidence missing, and that's just as telling to us. So, I mean,
what do you have to hide?
Yeah, I mean, when you're committing a crime, no matter what you're doing, you're leaving some sort of evidence behind, as much as you try not to. Whether it's at the scene, whether it's on a device, whether it's, whatever, you're always leaving something behind. And it's just our job to figure out what that is that helps us.
My niece, one time I found one of her long hairs on me. I was like, I got one of your hairs on me. She goes, give me back my DNA. And that let me know, okay, she's already watching these crime shows. The kids, well, I say kids, but my oldest daughter's 20. She gets enamored in this stuff. Like she watches NCIS and she's really interested in this stuff. And I wonder to myself, like, how much of this is actually do they have somebody on that show that they consult with? Because some of it is crazy to me.
I mean, from my understanding, they usually have a consultant. But, I mean, we talk a lot about, especially if you're going to get selected for a jury, a prosecutor or a defense attorney will normally bring up the CSI effect, because what these shows have done has taught people that we should be able to present DNA evidence, fingerprint evidence. We should be able to, pull a face off of a mirror, and superimpose it, flip it around so we can tell who it is, and zoom in and do all this. And, so the expectations of people in a jury are so high sometimes because of that CSI effect that, it's kind of a battle for law enforcement, because we're doing the investigation. We're trying to get this information. And sometimes we may not have DNA. Sometimes we may not have something, and it's not because we didn't do it. It's not because we didn't try. It's because the TV shows that there's always DNA, or there's always a fingerprint, or there's always something, and that's just not the case.
And they solve it in an hour.
Yeah, and they solve it in an hour, and ours takes, sometimes a year or more.
Yeah.
So
has there ever been one that really stuck in your head that, like, man, I really want to solve this. I really, and you actually solved it?
I mean, going into any case that I do, I really want to solve it.
Okay.
I want to try and get the information that I need to either prove or disprove what's being alleged. Because we all know that, everything that's reported isn't always true. So it's not just my job to take somebody's word. I take their word, but if things start to show that maybe they're not telling the truth, then it's my job to try and, like I said, it's not just my job to throw somebody in jail. Yeah. It's my job to collect the evidence. We always say we're the finders of facts. We try and find the facts. Okay. That's our job. It's not our job to hunt down Joe Smith, who's been, accused of something, and throw him in jail. It's to follow the evidence and see where it leads. What's true, what's not true. So in every case, I try and I go into it wanting to solve it, whether it's true or not true. In my career, my 21-year career, there is only, I want to say one, maybe two homicides that we haven't solved. And I would love to solve those, but we're just at that point where we need more information and stuff like that before we could do that. I know Wendy Felton and Trisha Reitler are always brought up.
Oh my gosh.
Which was Trisha, well before my time. But
yeah, Trisha's anniversary just passed.
Yeah. So, I mean, any detective is always going to have a case that they didn't solve and they want to solve. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I'm at. The
Trisha Reitler really is something, I don't know if you've ever watched Blackbird on Apple. Mm-mm. It's the television series, an Apple television series about Larry,
the guy, Larry Hall?
Yeah, Larry Hall.
Okay.
It's really good. Mm-hmm. And they tell, aside from, so this guy gets busted for selling drugs, and they put him in a prison. The FBI kind of find out, well, after listening, well, this guy's pretty savvy with people. He's able to connect with people. That's how he starts his relationships, mm-hmm. with selling heavy amounts of drugs. They offer him, hey, we know your dad's about to die. Do you want out sooner? Befriend Larry Hall, get him to confess,
mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's really good. Uh-huh. It's like an eight episode series on Apple.
Okay.
Really good.
I think I've heard of that, but I've never watched it.
Oh, super good.
So.
It's got I can't pronounce his name. He's really English, but he's a younger guy. He played in The Kingsman. But anyways, you know, those unsolved cases that you ever wake up and be like, man, I wish today would be the day I catch a break on that.
I don't know if I wouldn't say I lose sleep over it, but I'm always open to when the information comes in, tracking it down. Is it true? Can I prove anything? Does this help me? That kind of stuff. So,
yeah. So when you hit the door after work, all that stuff is left at the door?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
There are days that I do not leave it at the door. So, and my family knows it. So,
yeah. And
yeah,
they can just read it on your face.
Oh, yeah.
That's got to be tough.
Yeah.
It's got to be tough. I think, you know, things like matters that have to do with kids must be really hard.
Yeah.
Because the thing that's going on right now that I see a lot of is sex trafficking. Mm-hmm. And I have 3 daughters, and I watch them like a hawk. Even my 20-year-old, I still watch where her phone goes. You know, I make her text me as soon as she gets back to her dorm. I worry about things like that.
Yeah.
It looks like a teenager with acne when you go on watchdog.com and you look at all the sex offenders. And is it hard for you when you one doesn't show up to register? Or
Yeah, I mean, I don't handle the registry. Lieutenant Ogden does. I used to help with it. But, you know, our goal with the Sheriff's Department is to keep sex offenders in compliance.
Yeah.
And Lieutenant Ogden has cracked down on that and done a good job with that and keeping sex offenders accountable for where they live, where they're working, you know, that kind of stuff, making sure that they're following the rules that are laid out in the sex offender guidelines. So,
yeah. Have you been involved in any of the sex trafficking?
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 open, active, open. They haven't been through court. Human trafficking cases that we took last year.
Human trafficking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know how social media can be. They when I see videos and it's like one video you watch, it like hits on your algorithm, and all of a sudden you see like 30 of them. Like right now I don't want to go on a plane because now my algorithm is planes going down.
Oh no.
Yeah. And and we're trying to plan a trip to Vegas, but I see like a video, if you see like a zip tie around your door handle, look around, because that's how they get you to like try and get it off, and you get, you know, distracted and they grab you from behind and stuff like that. Is that?
I mean, no matter what, you need to be aware of your surroundings. There's different ploys, there's different tactics that get people to stop paying attention to their surroundings. So just making sure that you're vigilant. If something looks off, especially if you're approaching your car, you know, go back inside the store, get somebody come out with you, you know, different things like that. If you know, be on the phone with somebody, you know, something that, but just most importantly, keep aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, park under a light.
A light, yeah.
When you go to Walmart.
Yep.
I mean, there's been times where I feel like they could have abducted me, but I'm too heavy to lift.
Well, and you know, that's the thing. I mean, like when you come out of a store and you get in your car, don't sit in there with the door unlocked looking at something for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just get in your car, lock your door, drive off, or don't even lock your door, just drive off. You know, be aware of your surroundings. Don't sit there for a long time. Because we have had reports throughout the years of suspicious people in the parking lot or, you know, stuff like that. And when it's reported, we look into it, whether it's Marion, Gas City, us, you know, we'll look into it and see if we can figure something out. Yeah.
Going back to like common misconceptions, what are some myths that you would like to address that are like perpetuated by media?
You know, like I was talking about with the DNA, stuff like that. You know, with electronic devices, you know, it's one of those things where people try and do all sorts of stuff to get rid of information. You know, we have ways to get stuff.
It's always there,
So,
right?
yeah, I mean, it's always there. You can think you got rid of it, but I mean, we have abilities to still find that information.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I pride myself on having a really good browser history. I don't delete.
yeah, you don't delete anything.
I don't
So,
delete anything.
No. And that's the thing. I mean, we have multiple avenues. So even if you think you got rid of stuff, we have other ways to figure stuff out, to get that information. We have multiple software tools, you know, stuff that we can do to try and find that location. Because we all know our devices track us. I mean, and some people that probably don't realize they track us more than what we think they do. So
Yeah, I mean, they're, in a sense, it's a way to market products to you. They know what you look up, and I'm convinced, and I think it is true. You know, I'll say something like, "Hey, you know, I'd love to have a new shelf for the garage," and you know, I go scrolling on Facebook and I see 15 ads for a shelf.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing of Big Daddy's watching, oh, yeah, absolutely, I guarantee. So,
Oh,
I mean,
well,
I'm not,
if you guarantee,
I'm just saying that from personal experience.
yeah.
I'm not saying anything on the law enforcement side,
Yeah.
because I've had the same stuff happen to me. So,
does it ever like creep you out a little bit?
oh, yeah. Yeah, even as a law enforcement officer, it creeps me out how much this stuff and how much we rely on it. So it causes all that stuff to be collected.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
people are addicted to the strangest things now.
Yeah.
It's a little bit unsettling at times, but you know, it's maybe it's human nature.
I mean, I would say social media, stuff like that, it's an addiction. I mean, really, you know.
And how much self-control do you have?
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I even struggle with scrolling endlessly on social media,
Yeah.
and I should be doing something so much more productive than what I do. But it's also I will admit it's my escape, you know, but I need to find healthier escapes than scrolling endlessly through social media.
Yeah, every now and again, like for Lent, I gave up drinking beer because I like to have a beer now and again. And Ash Wednesday, no beer, hanging strong till the 20th.
Yeah, good.
And that'll be my Easter egg hunt. Is finding a Coors Light. But yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time. Is there any plugs or anything you would like to share? Any shout outs you would like to give?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to shout out to my detectives division, Detective Brad Moore, Detective Sean Shields, our victims assistance coordinator, Natasha Geringer. She's kind of my right-hand person when I need something done. You know, and then of course, Lieutenant Matt Ogden, who's in charge of our division. So, you know, we work well together. We're like a family, so we have our fights, we get along, but at the end of the day, our job is the same, our mission is the same. And so, and I just want to thank Sheriff Garcia for just all the support he's given us up in the detectives division. So.
Yeah. Maybe one day he'll come on.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll
let him know.
But I think you did a great job, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You've been awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you guys later.